Welcome to the Attractions Group podcast. This is episode 98. I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig. Don, how you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, battling a cold, I guess, a little bit, but tough to get rid of when you're in the middle of the summer sometimes. You're in an air-conditioned car for 3 or 4 hours traveling somewhere, get out, it's 96 degrees outside, get back in the air-conditioned car. Just the way it goes, I guess.
I always get sick like one time during the summer with some sort of head cold. So hopefully you can keep it together for the show. And
yeah,
we'll see what happens. If you keel over, then it'll be, we're not going to make it to 100. We'll stick at 98.
Cool.
It's
hard to believe we're at 98 already, right? And we got to come up with something special for 100. If you have any ideas on what you think Ryan and I should do for episode number 100, drop it in the comments here on YouTube. Let us know what you think would be something good to do for episode number 100 in 2 weeks.
Not to say we're clueless about what to do for number 100. We just want your input because we don't know what we want to do for 100. I'm just saying. All right. So what we're going to talk about, and this is going to be a bottle episode, but it's an important one to talk about because you recently visited Kentucky Kingdom, which is now under the leadership of Hershon Family Entertainment, which is one of the best companies in the United States to run a theme park. So good for Kentucky Kingdom, good for its guests. But that park's in Louisville, about 2 hours from the Cincinnati market, for those of you who are around there. Let's kind of talk about that.
Well, it was exactly 2 hours and 1 minute from my driveway to where I parked, to go into Kentucky Kingdom. Good day to go. It was a Tuesday, just a beautiful day outside. So, they have rides and attractions at Kentucky Kingdom that cater to all ages. There was over 70 rides, family-friendly rides, throughout the park. Just had a really good time. It was my first visit there since, the Hershon family had taken over, management of the park. So it had been, 5, 6, 7 years since I had been there. I was just very impressed with everything about the park. We've talked with different individuals from Dollywood, and we always hear about the culture, right?
Yeah.
And that is definitely, you see a culture change at Kentucky Kingdom. I felt like I was at Dollywood or another Hershon property. Everybody was on the same page, from the person that, scanned my season pass to, buying the food, to checking the lap bars. Everybody was on their A game. So I was super impressed.
Yeah, so you would say that it's brought out the best in Kentucky Kingdom so far. It was owned by Ed Hart, and that didn't work out. And then Six Flags resurrected it after about a year of vacancy. And then Six Flags punted on it, and then Ed Hart picked it up again, and then he sold it to Hershon. And my understanding is that Ed Hart retained about a 10%, maybe 15% ownership, but has since sold that to Hershon. So it's all Hershon now. All got Dolly's hands all over it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well landscaped, very clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an odd layout. That's one of the, the drawbacks to it is that, the design flaws where you're, walking over the street, either through a bridge or there's a crosswalk where you go through and the traffic is stopped to let goes, guests go back and forth. But the park looked beautiful. It's what I would say now is, Kentucky Kingdom is basically a water park that has roller coasters because it's all kind of like woven in now. It seems like where the water attractions are all over and you can see the roller coasters and get on the roller coasters within the water park, parts of it and stuff. But the water park, it looks phenomenal. I did not, go in and experience any of the water attractions, but the families that were doing so, I mean, they were having that best day of the summer experience. So I think for, if you live in Louisville, to have that as your hometown park, available to you, I think it's really, leaps and bounds ahead of where Kentucky Kingdom was and all its other, renditions.
Yeah. So one of my favorite rides there is Storm Chaser. That's an RMC. So that's technically a conversion, although it's very much new. That covered Twisted Twins, I believe, was the name when the ride went down. But it's got the first barrel roll hill. So basically, you barrel roll off the hill. That's the first one in the United States. There was one at Six Flags Mexico. But I think that's a really cool sensation. You go down, you kind of get that little air time, and this is such an intense coaster. It's funny because it's not super long. It's not really exactly short, but it's not notably long like some RMCs are nowadays. But I think most agree that it's one of the more aggressive RMC coasters.
It was intense, a little more intense than a couple of the other ones I had been on, but I absolutely loved it, and
oh yeah,
thought it was a phenomenal ride. I think it makes for some good photo opportunities around the ride. The picture, if you're watching on YouTube, the train going over, where the logo is. They've got some great logos there too.
Yes,
ID signs and that for their rides. But yeah, I would have to say that was my favorite roller coaster there. It was my first time riding it. I had ridden the Twisted Twins and that, and but it's my first time since that conversion, and I was really looking forward to that. And that alone almost made it worth the trip. Just that, how much fun I had on that.
Yeah, so that one's really good. And then they've got Lightning Run, which is chance rides. So that's a model that you don't see very often. That one's pretty popular too. That was their big star attraction when they reopened. That reused the name is slipping my mind. The Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that they had.
Yeah, but that one's got like 100-foot, 80-degree drop. It's some good moments of airtime with it. Very smooth. Something that was re-rideable, so was able to get in a couple of laps on that and just enjoyed that ride as well.
Yeah, Kentucky Flyer, family-friendly wooden coaster by our friends at the Gravity Group. Kind of intense for a kid ride. I think that's kind of neat.
Well, I mean,
a little airtime and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, 1,280 feet, but just pure fun. You have these moments of airtime. Timberliner trains, so got to experience coaster with that, and I found those to be very comfortable. Was able to ride in the front, the middle, and the back. The ride crew was great because when I went back, to ride it in the morning, I was the first one back there, and no one else was there. So they're like, well, pick your seat, So I said, well, what's better, front, back, whatever. And one of the ride-offs said they liked the front, the other one said the back. So I started with the back. And then, just circled around a couple of other times to get, kind of the feel what I like better between front, middle, and back. I found the front to be, more enjoyable because I like seeing the little hills, the bunny hops and that you go through. And, as I'm riding that, I'm thinking, let's take a park like Kings Island. You've got Woodstock Express. It's 52 years old. If you were ever, going to replace that with something like the Kentucky Flyer, some ride from the Gravity Group would be perfect to go in that spot. But that was something that, guests of the different ages are going to have fun with that. So if you were a kid, you loved it. If you're a parent riding with your kids, it's great. If you were somebody that was there by themselves that just loved riding roller coasters, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, not a ton of opportunities to check out those Timberliner trains for those of you who would be interested in something like that. So that's a really good opportunity if you're in the area for that. But they got the Vekoma roller skater, which I think is just a blast. It's got one of those tire-driven lift hills, and it literally looks like a roller skate. So that's what I like about that.
What I liked about that was just seeing the parents having as much fun as their kids on this one. They're all laughing and having a great time. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Thunder Run. And Thunder Run's one of your favorites, isn't it?
Well, I got a little history with that one. Back in 1992, it was August 22nd of that year. Friend of the show, Jess Novak, and I were visiting Kentucky Kingdom, and we got a little bit of a run with that ride. So we rode it 80 times that day. We probably could have got 95 to 100, but we had a meeting with the owners of the park at that time. Wanted to chat a little bit with us, and we wanted to just talk with them. But we were having a great time on it. The crew got into it with us, in terms of how many times we were riding it, and everybody was getting pumped up, fired up. So it was one of the more memorable days I would say I've had visiting amusement theme parks, across the country, and doing that with friends was just that day that Jess and I had. We had no intention. We went to hey, we're going to ride Thunder Run 80 times. It just kind of happened, but we were just having a blast riding it. So that rekindled memories of that day. And I went to ride a little bit rougher than it was, in 1992, but they still have done a lot of track work on it in recent years. So it's a lot smoother than it had been, but, still fun, still enjoyable. It's got, that quick turn and some nice little hops, some good air time. Another coaster that if you're at Kentucky Kingdom, you want to check out.
Now, for those of you, and many of you are crossovers with Tower Topics Kings Island fans, there is a piece of Kings Island history at Kentucky Kingdom. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Flying Dutchman. I had forgotten about that. I knew it was there, but it wasn't like top of mind as I, scanned through at the front gate, and I'm walking around. I was making my way to go ride Thunder Run, and there it was, and it brought back so many memories. I had so much fun riding this, when it was at Kings Island. So I, definitely had to ride it, and it was the same, exact feel, same ride. It still landed the same way, where it would kind of like lower real slow, and all of a sudden it would just kind of like bump onto the ground. So it's still that same noise. Great ride. I miss it at Kings Island, but it's a perfect fit for Kentucky Kingdom. Just a great collection of flat rides. And this one was one of my favorites for a lot of reasons. Not only, if I had never ridden it at Kings Island, I still would have loved it. But it was great to be able to, to ride this again.
Yeah, you're flying around in a wooden shoe. Like, what child does not dream about that? But in all seriousness, my favorite part of the ride is how it collides with the ground. Like the boots. Yeah. The boots land on the ground with the loudest thud ever.
Yeah, and you're about like an inch or two away, then all of a sudden you hear that little thump when it goes down. But just just brought back a lot of memories. And I wasn't there at night. No, at Kings Island was one of my favorite rides to do at night. I'd get done with my last race to ride, and I'd hop over and get on that real quick before heading home for the end of the night. And just a lot of fun. I'm glad to see it's still in service, because a lot of those kind of rides, parks make way for something else, and if they can't find a new home for it, it's just gone and forgotten in the annals of time. But I think that this was, definitely a highlight of the trip for me, was being able to just rekindle those memories and get another ride in on it again.
Yeah. So some other classics, the Giant Wheel, and they've got a Himalaya.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are really fun. The Giant Wheel, one thing that I noticed about it, and this is, so the Giant Wheel's been there for a long time, for several different ownerships.
Well, it's like their Eiffel Tower. It's their signature thing.
But there's a sign on it from Vekoma that says, like, if this ride is up for repossession, please call this number, or something weird like that. Like, did you ride it the last time you went?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've ridden it every time I've visited Kentucky Kingdom, because it's just one of those attractions. You have to do it. You get the good, the great view out into the Louisville area. You see a lot of the airport and stuff when you're up there. But I think that's something that if you're going to Kentucky Kingdom, definitely take a spin on that. It just really fits that park. And I wonder why you don't see more of those. Sure, it's, low capacity and that, but those look beautiful, especially at night. Love to see more parks add these.
Do you think if a park was going to add a Ferris wheel in today's world, that they would add like an open air one like that, or like the closed cabin ones, like the Mondial ones, like the ones that there's the one that was in Cincinnati is now in San Francisco, but like you could ride that like when it was snowing if you wanted to, because it was like fully air conditioned. I think that would be kind of cool to have one of those.
Yeah, I'd go opt for the model that Kentucky Kingdom has.
Yeah. Then they got the Bella Musica carousel.
Well, I'm known for roller coasters, loving trains and loving carousels, and it's another one that you got these beautiful hand carved horses, and it was fun to take a spin on the carousel.
Yeah. So the carousel though, do they have two carousels? Because I'm pretty sure
they have another one. Yeah, it's like a musical one.
Is that the Bella Musica one?
No, this one's the Bella Musica. The other one is more it's more geared for the kids and their parents than this one is.
Okay, because I thought maybe this one, the Bella Musica one, would be the one that has the musical instruments. But I just Googled Bella Musica Kentucky Kingdom, and you are correct. Bella Musica does have horses.
Located, right near Thunder Run and the beloved Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Mad Hatter Teacup Ride, that needs no introduction. Obviously, it even has the theme of the Mad Hatter, so spinning teacups.
Yeah, but just so cool to see these kind of rides. I mean, you don't think about what a great flat ride collection that Kentucky Kingdom has until you're there.
Yeah. Professor John's Flying Machine, that's my personal favorite. Larson Flying Scooters. As of the last time I went, they were letting you snap them, and
oh yeah, they got a
they
good.
asked me to cool it because I was scaring everybody else on the ride, but a lot of fun. And then the Tin Lizzie's antique cars, some of the best antique cars in the industry, I think.
I think so. A lot of room. They're not the smaller models that it's tough. As you get older and stuff to get in and out of. I would say older, bigger, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a throwback to me to the type of cars that the original Kings on that Les Taxis had with it. So it was a nice leisurely ride. So really enjoyed my experience on that. It's a pretty long length of track. So another ride that you want to check out.
Do you know where the cars came from? That's a trivia thing for you.
Where the cars? I wasn't thinking about that when I was riding. I was just excited to get the ride on. So enlighten me, where?
LeSwordsville Lake.
Okay. Yes, I remember riding those at LeSwordsville Lake.
Yeah. So it's funny because they used to have this thing called King Louis's Winter Walkthrough, which was kind of like their winter chill out thing. And I did that 2 or 3 times. And they have this guy, he doesn't work there anymore, but he was just some random dude. And he was older than me because he's worked at Kentucky Kingdom on and off since like the mid 90s. But he wasn't like full time. He was just like a game supervisor, but he knew everything about the park. So they would bring him out for stuff like this. And they were letting us walk around like the picnic grove where they have all the trains off the track and all that stuff, letting us look at those. And, they had all these lined up under one of the shelters. He's like, yeah, man. And then we got these from this place called the Swordsville Lake when it closed. And I was like, what? That place? He's like, yeah, it is somewhere near Cincinnati. Like completely blowing it off, forgetting that like that was my first theme park. Well, not forgetting, he had no idea it was my first theme park, but yeah, that's where they came from.
Now that you mention that, I mean, they look familiar, but I mean, a lot of parks have the same kind of models and stuff, and
yeah, they're old Arrow ones, I'm sure.
It's a nice piece of trivia, and I think that would be something for me to, I can tie a little story or something with it, with a social post or whatever, the next time I go down there, and in possession of a Kentucky Kingdom season pass, being located less than 2 hours basically from where I live. So yeah, I'll be there with some regularity.
Yeah. And let's not forget that Kentucky Kingdom, speaking of their passes, and I don't want to turn this into a plug for their passes, but their season passes are more valuable than ever because they've just added a winter event, Christmas at Kentucky Kingdom. And your season pass is good for that. And that is run by the same company that runs Dollywood's Christmas. So it's got to be good,
I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a great event. They've got some different things going on this summer too that are worth checking out. I was only there for 6 hours because I was going to Louisville Bats game, AAA Farm Club with Reds as well. So to get in what I did, for the 6 hours, so that just showed me that was a great value for my time going there. So I just had a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, Kentucky Kingdom, Louisville, Kentucky, off the Watterson Expressway. So,
yeah, I looked at the food too. I mean, that was another thing that has definitely been elevated, the culinary experience. I had a double cheeseburger with bacon, very good portion of fries that came with that. So that was really good. And the place I ate at, you had an outdoor, kind of seating, but you could also eat inside in the air conditioned area. So that looked like a prime spot. So that'll kind of be my go-to spot, I guess, when I go there. But
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
swamp something. I remember
yes, yeah,
you you sent me a photo of that, but here's your cheeseburger you sent me. That looks freaking
yeah,
delicious. That is a
yeah.
good
I mean,
amount of fries.
great amount of fries, and I'd eaten a few before I took the picture. I remembered, oh yeah, I got to take a picture there.
I
So
always remember it. You got to insta what you eat, you know.
in
But
my
yeah, that
Mountain
looks
Dew with
delicious.
it, but I mean, the burger was really, really good. One of the best burgers I've had, at the different parks that I've visited. So I would certainly get it again, and I felt that it was, a really good value with my season pass discount. With the drink and the food there. I mean, it was under $12.
That's pretty good. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, the food is definitely elevated there. Actually, to be honest with you, when it was under Six Flags, and this is not a knock at Six Flags because we're talking about like a whole different company ago. But the food was bad, kind of like Kings Islands was bad in like the 90s. And then under Ed Hart, when it came back, I remember like their flatbread pizza. I remember buying that during their Halloween event. That was really good. And this
Mm-hmm.
looks amazing. I mean, I'm
Oh, this
kind of
was amazing.
hungry now
So
looking at it.
I'm definitely going to try that again. But it looked like they had really good pizza. They had some good treats around the park. But I definitely want to go back. And something I wanted to throw at you, Ryan, is we talked about doing different meetups and that this summer. I think that would be a nice place for us to have an attractions group meetup. We pick maybe a Sunday to go there, or a Saturday. A weekend when more people will be available to go, and we just all have a good time riding the coasters, eating the food, just enjoying the landscaping and just how pretty the park looks. And if you're an aquatics fan, I mean, just a great water park. So much to do inside of the water park. And so yeah, I think if we can get a date, maybe sometime late July or something, try to do something there early August.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so drop us a comment if you're interested. Would you be willing to go to Kentucky Kingdom to do a meetup, hang out
Meet
with
up,
us?
ride rides with Ryan and I. Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, you'll know me because I'll be hanging around the guy that you actually recognize in the park. That's dumb. All right, stick around. We got the pick six coming up next.